Alright, I'll be honest with y'all, I've been sitting here for a while trying to figure out how to talk about this movie. I don't think it's crazy to say that this is one of the hardest directing jobs in the history of Hollywood. We're talking about a sequel that really can't play off of the original because, for obvious reasons, Chadwick Boseman is no longer with us. So you gotta make a sequel that's also kind of another origin story, while also fitting into the rules and what makes sense for the MCU, which is now like 40 something properties deep. So there's some people online right now slandering this movie. Won't be me, because I can't even imagine trying to pull this off. So I guess the biggest question is to start, did they make the right decision? Should they have recast the character? Or should they not have made this movie at all? Those were the three options. And if you've seen the movie, you know we jump right into it. They don't waste any time. So just like that, we're going to get right into this review. Alright, so director Ryan Coogler is back, 36 years old, very impressive resume so far. We got Fruitvale Station, A, Creed, A, Creed 2, B, Black Panther, A, and now we got Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Most of the cast is also back. M'Baku, Okoye, Lupita is back with her character, the Queen is back, Agent Ross is back. We got a lot of people back in this movie, and I gotta say, the start, the acting was very good. Anything negative with this movie has nothing to do with the acting. You can tell that everyone showed up and did their thing, despite how hard it must have been to film this movie without Chadwick. Oh, and obviously the teaser rights, Shuri is back as well. Duh. Now, the first question a couple of people have asked me, or concerns they've brought up, is, Andy, is this movie too sad to go watch in person? Will I be a mess out in public? So I'll admit, beginning of the movie, there's a part where I had to take off the glasses and give a little, nothing too crazy, but I had to give a little into the eyes for sure. There's also a part at the end where I can see people tearing up. For a majority of the movie, they get on with it and try to tell a story. I'll give them credit for that. This movie definitely honors Chadwick and the T'Challa character, but they also keep in mind they got a story to tell. And if there's not a new story to tell, there's no point in making the movie. There's a lot of hype and anticipation for the villain of this movie, Namor. Not Namor. We learn in the movie that it is pronounced Namor. I don't know much about this character. I haven't read Black Panther comics. My Black Panther knowledge is just from the films. So just like in Black Panther 1, Real Killmonger, he was the villain of the movie, but like you could easily root for him. You understood his cause. You understood why he was doing what he was doing. Even though his goal still was to kill T'Challa. So still a villain, but a sympathetic villain. This is the same. They did a great job. They've had good villains. I can't say great. Good villains for both Black Panther movies. I think the biggest problem is Aquaman came out 4 years ago and looked better as far as an underwater movie goes. I know a lot of that has to do with the CG houses during COVID just have not been the same. We can all admit. Pretty much anything that's come out since 2020, the CG has looked like it's 2010. So it's interesting, DC finally beat Marvel to the punch with something, and that was knocking out the underwater look. It still looked good, don't get me wrong, but the fact that we've already seen Atlantis, we've seen all the underwater stuff. This is basically fake Atlantis with a villain Aquaman, I'm not going to lie to y'all. Mode is completely different. Backstory completely different. What more can I say about this movie without giving anything away? Non-spoiler. The overall feel, I know we were supposed to explore Wakanda more in this movie? Nah. Nah, we learned a lot more about Wakanda in the first one. Which is ironic because this was a 2 hour and 45-minute movie. But we actually spent a lot more time learning about Namor's homeworld, honestly, which I think helped make him a good villain. His side character, not side pieces, but side characters like his generals and stuff were not developed at all. They put the focus pretty much on him. Um, I just remember when we saw the first Black Panther, I saw it at the IMAX museum downtown DC. That was like just a buzz. Like you left the theater like, damn, that was one of the best comic book movies ever. You knew it immediately. This movie does just does not capture the same magic. Um, and in a way, how could they? Like I said in the opener, this was a very hard thing to pull off. And I thought for the most part, it was decent. Like I sat there for 2 hours, 45 minutes, did take one bathroom break. I'm very good at picking out when to take a bathroom break in a movie, by the way. So you can DM me if you ever need some suggestions on that. But it was good. I mean, I the middle is a little dull, but I was so interested in where the story was going. The fight scenes were okay. A lot of slow motion up in this thing. For you Zack Snyder haters, if you love this movie, you're gonna have to drop that critique off of your hate list because there is slow motion out the ass in this thing. I think every single fight scene has slow motion in it. Couple negatives real quick. My man M'Baku got Marvelized. He's just a joke now. He is a pretty serious, not heavy. I mean, obviously he's heavy, but like a heavy force, serious character in the first one. Nah, he's a joke now. He got Thored. It's really unfortunate. And the ending was just a little, just did not pack the punch that I was hoping we would get to. Other positives, there's a couple things in this movie that actually did really surprise me. There's one cameo that was not spoiled at all by the internet, which is shocking considering that Twitter was posting videos of Henry Cavill and Black Adam a week before the movie came out. There's actually two big things in this movie that weren't spoiled. Three, actually. Three major things in this movie that weren't spoiled. Good job, internet. Hopefully we can get back to that. Don't want to ramble too much. Non-spoiler. You guys just want to know whether or not you should go see the movie. The answer is yes. You can go see this movie and not know anything about Marvel, but just see Black Panther 1 and you can enjoy it. It's a good in that aspect. It's not small, but the story, it doesn't depend on like 6 other Marvel movies. You can really just go with those two. Honestly, if you're a Marvel fan, it's going to be one you got to check out. And the official AP grade, I am filming this the day after seeing the movie. I wanted to sit on it a little bit because I graded Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness immediately out of the theater and regretted that grade. I was caught up in the movie hype a little bit. This movie I'm going to give a solid B. A B AP reviews, which by current Marvel standards is pretty good. Let's go through the list. Let's go through Phase 4. I'm not even going to talk about the shows. That's a completely different medium. Can't compare. So let's go down the list. Phase 4 movies. It is better than Thor: Love and Trash. It is better than Multiverse of Madness. It was not better than Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie was divisive. I think Eternals is better just because Eternals was so creative and new. They took a lot of risks. This movie, it took a risk in like what happened to some characters, but the overall movie was just kind of eh. So that's why I gotta give Eternals the nod. Shang-Chi is a tough one. I mean, the origin movies, I'd say it's tied with Shang-Chi. And then Black Widow, I can't say because, so y'all remember before the first COVID variant came out, everything went back to normal for like a week, and that was when Black Widow came out. And I saw Black Widow opening weekend. And I think I was just caught up in the hype of being back in a theater with a big crowd for a big movie. So I can't accurately compare because I haven't seen the movie since I saw it in theaters. Just going for what I remember, I'd say Black Widow is probably better as well. So it's right in the middle of what they've given us for Phase 4, and it's a lot better than the last two movies they've given us with characters we know. I mean, Doctor Strange and Thor, it disrespected a lot of canon and a lot of characters. This movie doesn't really do that. It just doesn't hit the same because Chadwick's not in it. And the script, they had a script done. They were ready to film, and they had to make a completely new movie. So just keep that in mind when you're seeing this, if it doesn't hit for you. So the grade's a B, and to answer my question from the beginning, did they make the right decision? Should they have recasted T'Challa and went with the original script? Or should they have not made this movie at all? I've seen the movie, and I still support their decision to go forward with making the movie with T'Challa gone. And here's the reason why. He wasn't just in one movie. It wasn't like Black Panther came out and there was so much story to be told. There was, but he had been in Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, Black Panther. Been in 4 movies. You can't just replace the actor after 4 movies in the same universe. In my opinion, it doesn't work. Especially considering Black Panther 1 is one of the most successful movies ever. I think the box office was like 1.7 billion. See if I was right. I'm pretty good at box office numbers. 1.3 billion. Overestimated a little bit. Still, that is a crazy return for an origin story movie. He's been in too much, and he meant too much to people to recast the character. I firmly believe that. Now, if they would have recasted the character, would the movie have been better? Yeah, probably. Because I believe that whatever they came up with for the original script would have been fire. So the movie would have been better, but it just would not have worked to me. Like, I would have been watching that movie like, that's not T'Challa. What? Who is this guy? I guess they could have done some crazy thing in the multiverse where like they tried to say he was the same person but looked different. Whatever. I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback it. I support their decision still to go the route they did. I'd say option number 3 would have been the worst because there's just too much love for this series and the other characters in it to scrap. So option 1 is what they did. Option 2 would have been recast. Not making the movie at all would have been option 3. Some people on YouTube were saying this movie kills the legacy of the first one. No, it doesn't. Relax. Paid homage to a man we all loved. It was a decent story. There's been many sequels made in this universe that have been a lot worse. Let me know what your grades are. And we're going to get into some spoiler talk. I'm going to throw a little thing on screen. We'll be right back. Alright, we're back. Spoiler talk. Last chance to turn this thing off and then come back once you've seen the movie. Here we go. T'Challa had a kid. Okay. He has a son. He's 6 years old. Now, I always be forgetting that the blip, you know, when people blipped away, they were gone 5 years. I mean, I know that, but like when I'm just watching a movie, I forget who went away, who didn't. So that means before Infinity War, Lupita's character was pregnant. That's the only way that works. Because that's when T'Challa wiped away. And was gone for the 5 years, came back in Endgame. Yeah. So that's why Lupita's character went away. She was pregnant, didn't want the young prince to grow up in the pressures of Wakanda. He's being raised in Haiti. That was the third spoiler that didn't get leaked. That was good to see. That actually was the one moment where people were clapping in the theater. Not a lot of reactions in the theater. That's why you can kind of tell it was kind of a mid-B, you know. There wasn't like cheers or anything. This was a full house, not a seat open. Went to the new Alamo Draft House, by the way, in Arlington, Virginia. Very nice. If you got an Alamo Draft House around you, definitely recommend. Comfiest seats ever. Full menu service with waiters. It was crazy. You do pay for it though. A little expensive. Spoiler number 2. Michael B. Jordan's in this movie, and he was used in an awesome way. So she creates, I'm just going to call it a leaf. The technical name is escaping me. She creates synthetically a leaf to bring back the Black Panther. And when she goes into the dreamland, she doesn't see her brother, she doesn't see her mom, she doesn't see her dad, she sees Killmonger. Because she actually, at the moment, is sharing more feelings inside with him than her family. Their family too, but you know what I mean. That was awesome. I'm so glad it didn't get leaked. And I hate cameos that are just for cameos. This made sense and it was really well done, so props to them for pulling that off. And the other big thing is the Queen dies, and that's when I was like, damn, this family can't catch a break. Like they want Shuri to go off the deep end. It actually reminded me of when Aunt May died in No Way Home, and it kind of wasn't necessary. This wasn't really necessary either. I guess in both instances they were just trying to push the character in a certain way. Cynical me says those actresses just didn't want to be in these franchises anymore. I don't believe that as much for this one because I think she was only in Black Panther. She may have been in Civil War. But I think Ryan needed a shock factor in this movie. Because, you know, they had to write a new script and that's something he thought of. So yeah. Ironheart's introduced in this movie, so we keep building up the Young Avengers. All young women, of course. Not complaining, just putting that out there. So we got her. We've got Kate Bishop. I know we got the girl from the Miss Marvel show, which I have not seen yet. There's a new kid at the end in Thor: Love and Trash. Ant-Man's daughter. Yeah. They're building it up. I'll be interested to see what happens with that. I mean, I'm not sure what that bevy of characters is going to do in a Secret Wars movie. I know a lot of people are pumped for those 2 Avengers movies. I'm not. There's no reason to be. There's not been one thing in Phase 4 that's been epic. Not one thing. The only epic thing was Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire popping up on screen. Nothing else has been epic. It hasn't built to anything. This has been the most... This isn't a Phase 4 review, but this has been the most inconsequential phase ever. By far, it's not even close. Oh, so the part that made me cry at the beginning, the Marvel credits, it was all Chadwick scenes. There was like 20 of them in the motion logo, and that's when I was like, damn, bro. Because the funeral's right before, and then it hits you with that. You're like, damn. And it's dead silent too. There's no music, no sound, nothing. You can just hear people. I did think it was really weird that there were no Avengers at the funeral. I guess like if they didn't tell the world until after it happened, no one knew he was sick. The Queen wanted it to be a closed funeral. I guess that would have been the case because I was thinking who would have made sense to be there. Obviously, Nat would have probably had the closest relationship with him as an Avenger. Cap 2, obviously those are both off the table. But there's some others. I mean, Bucky, he lived in Wakanda. Sam for sure. We all know Thor's weak ass could have went. I mean, he didn't go for the head in Wakanda. I mean, we all know he wasn't doing nothing. He could have went. A couple others, Hawkeye. I mean, he could have. It's kind of weird, especially seeing we know the Tony funeral scene. Literally every character from the MCU was in that joint. and no one went to honor the king. I'm gonna have to give them a pass on that and just say that it was a closed funeral. I don't want to look too deep into that. One thing I'm glad they didn't do is there's no CGI Chadwick in this thing. I'm so glad they didn't do that. They did a good job utilizing footage from the past for like, what was going on in people's heads. Man, did the world feel small. I know when Namor attacked Wakanda, we saw like the village and stuff. Saw like the regular Wakandans, I guess. But like at the end on the ship, there's like 10 Wakandans there. It's just weird because I'm pretty sure in Endgame, like they rolled up like hundreds deep. You could tell it was. I forgot to mention this earlier. You can tell this was a COVID movie because it's basically like the main characters and like some people in the High Council and no one else. The cast is pretty limited. Another minor complaint, and it's not a complaint because I'm cool with Shuri being Black Panther. It's just that we all knew that was going to happen. I was kind of hoping for a surprise. I mean, 2 years ago, I think everyone knew that that's what was going to happen if they didn't recast. If they didn't recast, we knew what was going to happen. But it made sense. I mean, it worked. I'll be interested to see if she's actually Black Panther going forward for like Avengers movies and more Black Panther movies. I'm assuming she will be. But it looks like M'Baku is going to be king. So M'Baku will be king, and she'll be Black Panther. They won't be both. I'm just glad they didn't let her just have the Black Panther powers in a really hokey way. Like, she actually showed that she had been trying to make the leaf and was failing, and then through the bracelet was able to finally do it. So that'll do it for my spoiler talk. Ultimately, I'm glad I went in with no expectations. I knew this was going to be a hard movie to pull off, and I thought they did a pretty solid job considering all the circumstances. Sorry if this review is a little all over the place. Like I said, it's a hard movie to talk about, and also with it being almost 3 hours and I saw it yesterday, it's hard to remember everything that happened. So with that, I want to thank you for watching my first official movie review on my channel. I believe our next Marvel movie is Ant-Man Quantumanium. It's Quantumanium. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I like the Ant-Man movies. I'm just hoping it's actually crazy, unlike Multiverse of Madness, which really didn't have much to do with the multiverse. And they went to like 3 places. I'm hoping this one is actually expansive and finally delivers on what they've been promising for at least 2 years. So with that, I'm going to head out, and I will see y'all next time. Peace!